Here with Paulie Malignaggi here in Los Angeles, a few days prior to the Mars Moreno bout. Before we get into that though, let's talk about your October bout at Barclays Center in Brooklyn. How did it feel fighting in a hometown crowd, having that energy, having that? How did that feel?
Felt good, man. It was a long time coming. It's a lot of years coming. For a while you just don't think you're ever going to get an opportunity to have a big fight like that in your hometown. If you're from Brooklyn, you think about Madison Square Garden. You don't think about an arena like the Barclays Arena. You'd never dreamed they would make such a spot. So the fact that it happened, and then I happened to be a world champion at the time it came, and I got to defend a world title. The feeling was cool. It was something that I'll take with me always. For the rest of my life, and I'll hope to do it again. And as far as the emotion of being part of the first show, words won't describe it, but it was really cool. The entire evening was really cool.
All right, a little bit of booze going on in the crowd from the Hispanic people. Obviously,
Yeah.
people thinking you lost against Cano. Honestly, I know you've looked over the footage of it. Do you honestly think it was a little closer than what you thought originally?
It's hard to say. I will give this. As far as what I think of the fight, it doesn't matter. I think watching the fight, I can see where people can, have a very subjective look on it. It's hard to see. A lot of the things I do are very subtle, and I can see like a lot of things are not appreciated that I do are very subtle. That doesn't mean you have to agree with me, but it's like if you look at CompuBox landings. CompuBox has power punches, jabs landed, power punches landed. You can say whatever landed. That's 44% of his power. That means almost 1 every 2 power shots were landing. If you watch that video, does it look like he's landing 1 every 2 power punches?
Not
really. You know what I'm saying? Then, it doesn't decipher how clean a punch lands. A right hand, a lot of the right hands he did land, a lot of them were grazing too. I rolled a lot of them. Some of them he landed clean, but even a lot of the ones he got credit for, you got to watch the video. They are landing, but they're landing as I'm rolling with them. You know what I'm saying? So, again, there's a power shot that doesn't land clean. Get as much credit as a power shot that lands clean. It's kind of one of those fights where you look at it and you can be subjective and you can really diversify opinions and really no one is wrong. It's one of those fights where, I'll look at it realistically. I thought I was winning in control. I've been in enough fights where I come back to the corner and I know, wow, it was a tough round, that was a close round. But it's because I know I'm being hit clean. When I fought Herman and Gujo, when I fought Love Morning doing the rematch, I recognized the fights were close. I recognized I was being hit clean in those fights, and I was going back to the corner, and I recognized I was in a close fight. I just didn't feel like enough of Cano's offense landed clean enough in enough of the rounds to put the fight in danger, because I felt like I was landing sharp jabs, sharp little shots, and they were landing cleaner. I felt like I was landing cleaner than him, even though I didn't get credit for it on the CompuBox. And really, you never want to look at the way people look after a fight, because his cut happened from one punch. But it's not just his cut, dude. The same eye that's cut is closing from underneath by the time the fight's over. His nose is bleeding. He's bleeding from the inside of his mouth. One of his ears is bleeding. Look at the fight. He's bleeding from one of his ears. I don't know if it was his eardrum busted or whatnot. So I'm landing with enough force to cause this kind of damage to him. If you take the cut aside, I still did a lot of damage to him. That doesn't happen if I'm not hitting him with some kind of power, some kind of force, So, the kid was tough, and, the kid will be back, and I'd like to see the kid in with some guys who don't move around, I think it'll be some good fights if you put him in with, like, a Maidana or something. I think it's a very good fight, But at the end of the day, I fought a good fighter, but I fought a guy that not a lot of people knew about. I really believe Cano's a good fighter, and he'll be around. But I just think I did enough to win the fight, and again, it's the little subtle things. Some things are obvious, some things are subtle. I noticed Glenn Feldman said at the WBA convention that he made a mistake in his scoring. It takes a real man to say that, because I remember Gail Van Hoy tried to when he had his messed up scorecard when I fought Juan Diaz, he tried to defend it when he was asked about that. So for Glenn Feldman to say he made a mistake, it takes a real man to do that. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, not enough people are real men out there, because everybody who's saying they thought I lost the fight, even rewatching it again, you may change your mind. Nobody wants to rechange their mind. It's not really about pride here, you know what I'm saying? If anybody's pride is on the line, it's mine. Everybody else is judging a fight, shouldn't put their pride on the line. You're allowed to change your mind, you know what I'm saying? My pride is on the line because, I'm a fighter, you know what I'm saying? So it's my life, it's my bank account on the line every time I win or lose a fight, So it's a little bit different. But, I'll readily admit it's a close fight, and I'll readily admit that you could look at the fight from a number of different perspectives, and from that point of view, you can have either guy winning if you look at it from that point of view, I remember just going back to the corner and feeling comfortable. I didn't feel like I was fighting my best fight, but I also felt like through 2/3 of the fight, I was barely touched. And obviously, and I'm a white guy, dude. If you look at me in the corner, I mean, if I'm being hit, you'll know it. If you look at me in the corner through 8, 9 rounds of that fight, I'm unmarked. You know what I'm saying? I'm a white guy. I bruise easy. You know what I'm saying? If you look at me through the whole training camp, I mean, every training camp, I'm bruised up the entire camp. I have black eyes, I have scuffs on my face. Anybody that knows me from the gyms and stuff like that knows I spend the entire training camp scuffed up because that's why my skin is. My skin bruises up. So to not have any bruises through 8, 9 rounds and fighting with 8-ounce gloves, that says something about how clean Cano's punches were landing or not landing, you know? But, you know, he still put in a good effort. He's a solid fighter, and, you know, I think we'll just look at it from there, really. You know, whoever wants to think anything, at the end of the day, the result stands. You know what I mean? It's a split decision win for Paulie Malignaggi, and I'm going on to other things, and I'm still WBA welterweight champion.
The knockout. Did you feel any effect after that? Were you hurt when you got knocked
down? Yeah, it was a good shot. You know, it was a good shot. I wasn't hurt, but I was, you know, it was like, oh man, I'm down. You know, I was like, you know, I was a little bit embarrassed, really. But I've said it before, and I'll say it again. You know, I have been more hurt in times where I wasn't down in my career, in times where I was standing up and been hit hard and, you know, have been on shakier legs. You know, I wasn't completely 100% when I got knocked down, but I wasn't in a real bad position either. You know, but it was a good knockdown. It was a good punch, and it was a good knockdown.
All right.